Welcome to another edition of Jana Brock's Bunny Talks. I'm Jana, and today I'm going to tell you why I feed our rabbits 2 times each day rather than 1 time a day. Before we hop into today's topic, please hit the subscribe button on this channel and give this video a thumbs up. That lets me know that you are interested in seeing more awesome, credible content about your pet rabbit. Like many topics in the world of pet rabbits, how to feed your pet rabbit is littered with all kinds of conflicting information. But one thing every responsible rabbit owner agrees on: feeding your pet rabbit is very important. If rabbits are not fed properly, they will quickly succumb to a series of cascading health events. In fact, rabbits that are not fed properly will suffer, and many do not live very long lives. And speaking of rabbits that do not live very long, many rabbit owners still use these animals for purposes other than pet rabbit ownership. While we only support responsible pet rabbit ownership on this channel, we also know that a lot of the historic information that has been adopted about rabbit care comes from those who raise lots and lots and lots of rabbits at a time. Sadly, a lot of those animals are not destined to live very long. That being the case, it is always best to get information on how to properly feed your pet rabbit from people who only have rabbits for the purposes of responsible pet ownership. It's very important because rabbits that are fed properly can live to be 9, 10, or 12 years old, as there have been pet rabbits live even longer than that. Conversely, rabbits that are used for purposes other than pet rabbit ownership often only live until their 1st or 2nd birthday. Again, we do not support using rabbits for anything other than responsible pet ownership, but it is a reality in our world. So, taking advice on how to feed your pet rabbit from people who only allow rabbits to live a short time is not going to be in the best interest of you or your animal. After a great deal of research on the biology of domesticated rabbits, as well as studying all kinds of conflicting information on how often and how much to feed pet rabbits, I decided it was best to feed the rabbits in my care twice each day, once in the morning and once at night. And since I get this question a lot, I'm going to tell you why that is. Greens and high-quality pellets should only make up a small percentage of a rabbit's diet. The rest of their diet should consist of long-strand hay and fresh water. Some exceptions apply, of course, like if your rabbit is still a baby or what we call a kit, or you may have to feed rabbits that have health issues differently than you would feed a healthy rabbit. Whatever the case is, feeding rabbits is pretty straightforward as a general rule. And if you stay on a feeding schedule and do not introduce new foods too quickly, and if you don't overfeed them treats, they should stay healthy and happy for many years to come. As I said before, the rabbits in my care are all kept on a very strict feeding schedule. They all get the right amount of pellets and greens for their body weight, and they are fed greens and pellets twice each day, 1 small meal in the morning and 1 small meal each night. And here's the reason why I feed them twice a day, rather than 1 time a day. Rabbits are among the quietest animals on the planet. They do not complain, so rabbit owners have to be good at noticing when something is not as it should be. For example, you need to know immediately if your rabbit is refusing food. That is usually an indication of illness or pain. Again, a rabbit's health can decline very quickly once he or she has something go wrong, so it's important that a human owner watches to make sure the rabbit is eating and eliminating, that is to say that they are pooping normally. It's a lot easier to do that twice a day than once a day, even if you're around your rabbit all the time. It is a lot easier to spot a rabbit that is refusing food if you feed twice a day, and that is the biggest reason I provide 2 meals instead of 1. If something is wrong, I know it within just a few hours. If I were to feed just 1 meal of greens and pellets each day, then it could be 24 whole hours before I realize that one of my rabbits is refusing food or not eating as he or she should. 24 hours without food puts a rabbit into the danger zone and could require immediate veterinary intervention, meaning you could be looking at a high emergency vet bill if your animal goes that long without eating. If they are eating normally in the morning, but not at night, I know to stay up a few extra hours and make sure nothing's going on with that rabbit that needs my immediate attention. So having 2 meals each day allows me to do sort of a well check twice each day instead of 1 time. I have up 10 to 14 rabbits on any given time, depending on whether I'm bunny sitting or I have a new rescue in, or somebody is in my care because they've just gone through GA stasis, or I'm providing after surgery care. Whatever the case is, sometimes I have a lot more rabbits than you might have in your home. Maybe you just have 1 or 2 rabbits that are your regular pets and you never ever have any other rabbits around. So that's the difference too. But I still, even if I only had 2 or 3 rabbits in the house, I would still feed them twice each day for that very reason. Now, one word of caution, feeding twice a day means they get half the amount of greens and half the amount of pellets in the morning and again at night. If you feed them twice daily, you need to make sure that you're not doubling their portions. Whatever portion they get in a 24-hour period for their proper body weight, the proper portion for their body weight, you have to split that in half if you feed them 2 meals a day. You can't double it. When a new rescue or rehomed rabbit is placed in my care, I slowly transition the animal over to a healthy diet. That is, if I knew the diet that came to them. If it was a rabbit that was dumped and brought into my care, I don't know what their food source has been, but I can assume they've had a high water content diet, trying to forage through grass and eat stuff outside a lot. So food transitions varies a lot. That's an important topic, but it is a whole nother video for another day because, again, that's just a huge topic. But to simplify what I'm talking about, I simply figure out the measurement of pellets each rabbit gets according to his or her weight, and I cut that in half. For example, if you have a large rabbit that weighs enough to get a 1/4 cup of high quality pellets every 24 hours, then I would feed him or her half that amount in the morning and half again at night. And then I would add greens to it. So they're not going to get a 1/4 of a cup in the morning and a 1/4 of a cup at night. If I feed them twice a day, they're only going to get 1/8 of a cup at each meal. You see what I'm saying? You don't give them twice as much at 2 different meals. You have to take whatever their allotment is in 24 hours and cut it in half. And that's the same for greens as well. If you use pellets at all, you want to not give them a whole lot of pellets. Pellets are not something a rabbit absolutely needs, though a lot of rabbit owners do use them, and we certainly use them here, especially for as many rabbits as I care for. But greens also should just be a limited part of your pet rabbit's diet. They can't have too many greens, and you have to be careful what kind of greens you feed them. That would also be a whole nother video, but anyway, just make sure you have rabbit safe greens and you don't overfeed them greens because they can get diarrhea and have all kinds of gut problems. And then you get into that series of cascading health events that can make a rabbit sick in a very short amount of time. And then you've got all kinds of problems if they get diarrhea. So feeding is a very, very important thing. It's a big topic, but that is the reason I feed twice a day. It's basically like having a well check twice a day instead of once. So I know right away if I go to feed, say, the evening meal and one of the rabbits is flat refusing his greens or pellets, that's a long time in between meals. So the rabbits should be excited and anxious to eat their meals. Now, again, exceptions always apply, but that's 100% of the rabbits here and that have been here in my care are always excited to eat their morning meal and their evening meal. And if I notice one of the rabbits is not eating one of those meals, then I know that I need to take a closer look and do a better well check for that rabbit and maybe stay with him or her and make sure nothing serious is wrong. And if something is wrong, it comes to my attention right away and I can get it handled. And this feeding system has worked for many rabbits over the years in my care, and they all have stayed healthy and happy. Some rabbit owners believe that it's okay to free feed pellets. I disagree with that unless you have a rabbit kit, a very young rabbit that hasn't reached adolescence yet. And even then, I think you have to be very careful because rabbits that have constant access to pellets often don't learn to eat enough hay. And hay should be at about 75% of your rabbit's daily diet as a general rule. And that's coarse, long strand hay, such as Timothy hay, orchard grass hay, something like that. And if they go outside and forage in grass that's not chemically treated, that's organic grass, then adjustments need to be made. But rabbits need a lot of hay. And if they have other food sources in front of them all the time, too many treats, pellets constantly in the dish, most rabbits won't go to their hay and eat enough hay every day. And that puts them at risk for their teeth growing too long, which has its own set of problems. It doesn't let their gut muscles stay strong. So long story short, rabbits need hay. The largest percentage of a rabbit's diet should be hay. And that is so that they stay healthy. It's good for their gut muscles and it keeps their teeth. It helps keep their teeth at a proper length. I hope that answers that question. I've gotten that question several times over social media and through my website. Why do you feed twice a day instead of once? So that's my answer. There are a few other reasons I do that too, but that's my main answer for that. Thank you so much for joining me on this important episode of Jana Brock's Bunny Talks. Check back here on this Love Your Rabbit YouTube channel to see more awesome videos on best care practices for your pet rabbit and also fun and entertaining rabbit videos. As always, be kind to animals and thank you for caring.